Good evening and welcome to the May 28th Los Osos Community Advisory Council. Um, we'll do a call to order and a quick roll call. Andrea,
Present.
David Cheney,
Here.
Jim Salio is absent, Gary Katayama,
Here.
I'm here, John Lynn, is he here? Oh,
Oh,
yes, you're
John, you're
here.
Yeah.
muted.
You're muted, John.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Thank you.
Jim Stanfield,
Yes.
Molly Brown, Molly,
Oh,
are you
hold
here?
on. We got it. There we go.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Um, Chairperson announcements. I think Greg is with us tonight. We want to say welcome to the new general manager of the CSD. Thank you for coming to this evening. We look forward to working with you and the CSD.
Thank you.
Are there any council member announcements?
Should I do mine now?
You can do yours now, Molly, and then Andrea, I see your hands up.
Yep. Okay. So I just had sent a message to Supervisor Gibson, haven't got haven't seen a response, but I just wanted to sort of check in about the situation with trash cans that were, I guess, serviced in public places by the county. Some are now not being done. They took them away, like over at Pasadena Beach and maybe some other places in town. And so just wanted to bring this up as an issue that is pretty concerning, and like to know a little bit more about it and see how we can get service back up again.
Good.
I will be happy to talk trash later.
Okay.
Wonderful. Okay. Andrea, you had an announcement?
Yeah, I've got two quick things. First, Save Cuesta Inlet is doing our first survey. It's a survey. You can find it on the Save Cuesta Inlet website, which is savecuesta.org, or it's on multiple social media outlets. And it's basically it's one of probably many surveys we're going to be doing to kind of assess the community's um, how much they're using it, what amenities might you like to see there. It's just a first blush, so we can get started on maybe doing some, I won't say improvements, I won't say developments, I'll just say maybe some cleanup. So if you haven't taken that survey, please do. It takes about 3 minutes. And it's really important for us to know, for Save Cuesta Inlet to know, what the community is interested in. Secondly, if you've about a year ago, Tree and Landscape, along with a lot of community volunteers, planted about 16 island oak trees along Los Osos Valley Road. And we had a celebratory event last week where one of the first trees was unveiled with the tube coming off of it. It's probably about, and I see Catherine here and she knows more about it than I do, but it's probably about 5 feet tall. So take a look at those trees. They're thriving, and talk to them a little bit when you drive by, because that's really important, but they're doing really well. So those are my two announcements. Thanks, Deborah.
Oh, that's great, Andrea. Yeah, I can see their little bushy heads popping out of and I was wondering when we were going to get the unveiling. So very exciting. Uh, uh, some little baby trees. Any other council member announcements? Okay, don't see any hands up. So we'll move on to county and local reports. Um, The sheriff, I don't see him here, so I'm going to read something that was sent to me by that office. Los Osos had 63 calls for service, and there were, and I think this is actually this is March 1 to March 31st, and it includes Avila, Cayucas, Cambria, and Los Osos and San Simeon. So I don't know what the breakdown is here, but assault and battery, there were 3, disturbances, 41, burglary, 0, theft, 1, vandalism, 1, mail theft, 1, phone scam 1, suspicious circumstances 31, enforcement stops 88, and preventative patrol activity 52. So out of all of those, 63 of those happened in Los Osos. I can't tell you which ones they were. It's not breaking it out, but anyway, that's the uh, information from the sheriff. The highway patrol will only be coming on a quarterly basis. They're not expected to show up this evening, so we'll move on to county staff report, but I don't think we have any land use items, so I didn't see Mason, right? He's not here? No. Okay, so Mason's not here. We'll move on to talking trash with Supervisor Gibson.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. We get right to it here. Just a variety of things that I had. I mean, and just start with the trash cans. What I understood is that there was the one that came to my attention was a trash can at Pasadena Drive that got removed. It has since been replaced. We have worked out a deal with a community volunteer who is going to take the plastic bag from inside the trash can and place it on the street, and Mission Country is going to pick it up. So the reason that Parks is chose to make that move was that they are in a very dire budget situation in terms of trying to keep all the plates spinning that they have, getting deferred maintenance done, getting the basic grass cutting and all the things that they do, cleaning of restrooms and all the things that their rangers do. The regional park system had to reach out to the board and got a $2 million infusion because that part of the park system, which is supposed to be supported on revenue, was falling short, camping revenue down significantly. The community parks part of the park system, which involved that trash cleanup, is similarly stressed in a time when expenses are going up faster than our revenue. But we're really grateful for the neighbors around the one at Pasadena for stepping up. Mr. D'Antona, who's not with us tonight, I think volunteered to provide the first box of heavy-duty trash bags to the volunteer who's going to take care of the Pasadena site. And so any support for that operation would be gratefully received. I don't know of any other particular sites where that is in play. I would assume that the trash collection at the community park continues apace, given its significance in the community. Just other good things that happen. Apparently, we're close to getting no overnight camping signs posted on Turi Road. Again, the community member's been concerned about RV parking there, and Public Works has, created a berm that cut out most of it, but there's still one spot and one RV. But those signs up in the very near future should give us all the enforcement noticing we need. It was my pleasure to speak at the Memorial Day event out at the Los Osos Cemetery. That was a great show. Met some really interesting folks out there that are doing good stuff for the community, and enjoyed that quite a lot. In the column of I wish it had been different, the Cabrillo Estates sewer proposal did not get support from any other members of the Board of Supervisors. So I continue to work with the good folks who have done so much work to try to see how that project might move forward, and we're exploring some alternative pathways, and that's just gonna take some regrouping and some reapproach there. Coming up, we do have a Los Osos Basin Management Committee meeting rescheduled from its normal third Wednesday to tomorrow in the afternoon, where we will be acting on the annual report. Again, everything to do with water in the Los Osos water basin. This backward looking for the calendar year 25. So there are a few things that have been changed, and in the draft report, which is available online, those things are noted. But that's part of the adjudication, part of the agreement the parties to the Basin Management Committee have made, and we will continue to deal with the issues that report points us to. And then finally, we do have a board meeting next Tuesday. It's a sort of typical, maybe a little bit more than average number of items, that some really interesting stuff having to do with health, human services, question of how we should locally regulate nitrous oxide and kratom, which apparently have become a substances of some concern for their abuse potential and the public health impacts that they have. A number of other things looking inside the organization to try to make things more efficient and effective. And then in the week after that, starting on Monday the 8th, we have our budget hearings. Just our general fund, our all government funds budget is just crept over the $1 billion mark, which is pretty exceptional. But as I've indicated many times, we are in a very delicate balancing act trying to keep the wide breadth of county services and programs going at a time when we're again challenged with revenue. The thing that I am, and virtually every county supervisor with a pulse is concerned about, are the impacts of HR1, the so-called big beautiful bill that is going to toss perhaps 2 million people in California off of Medi-Cal. That's going to take tens of thousands of folks off of their food assistance, supplemental nutrition assistance program, or SNAP. And to be just bluntly honest, the state's budget, as of the May revision that the governor put out, was totally inadequate in trying to mitigate the impacts of that to counties who are the ones on the front line that are going to be tasked with providing the services that need to be provided. So we will surge into our budget approval process. It has to be balanced. It is. We've got a few issues to resolve, and we'll get that done early in the week of June 8th. And then on we go into the summer and the new fiscal year. So with that, I think I've covered everything that was on my list, and I'd be happy to take questions.
Hey, looking for questions. I see Andrea raised her hand. Go ahead.
Bruce, I have a question not related to anything that you talked about except for budget. The question that we had a Earth Day event maybe it was a month ago at Sunnyside. It was a great event, and there were a lot of different agencies there. But one of the questions that came up a couple times is the county hasn't participated in the purchase of Sunnyside, and the county didn't participate in Save Cuesta Inlet, getting Cuesta Inlet.
Yep.
But one of the people that came by the LOCAC booth asked about the Toro Preserve and the county's participation in the Toro Preserve, which was pretty recent. And that was a question I couldn't answer because what we've heard is, the county doesn't have any money. So can you give us kind of a overview on that?
So Toro Preserve is the former Chevron property, lies.
Yeah, it's three-phase project.
Three-phase project, former Chevron, Estero Bay oil loading, Estero Terminal was what I think used to. So if you've been here a while, you may remember tankers anchored up half a mile offshore or so. And when Chevron ceased that, they have now gotten to the point of divesting that into both public and private ownership. Phase one secured the mile of beach that's there. That's now half of it, the southern half owned by the city of Morro Bay, the northern half by the county. There's a parcel on the north side, on the inland side of Highway 1 north of Toro Creek Road. That's 100 and some acres that butts up against the south side of Cayucas that's in county ownership. Phase 2 was land that is on the inland side of Highway 1 behind Del Mar Park, some 700 acres. That's been closed. And phase 3 is everything else that's basically more or less visible from the highway. Other parcels of their 3,200 acres have been sold as large ranches in the more interior parts of that. All of the funding for those acquisitions was funded by state funds, by the State Coastal Conservancy. This was an extraordinary opportunity that's long been in the county's general plan or a Estero area plan to preserve a community buffer between Cayucas and Morro Bay to provide more public access to the shoreline there, which is the very sacred Dog Beach. So the county has taken these properties on
Mhm.
under the understanding that our maintenance costs can be absorbed in the normal budget. There is no significant extra operating cost to the county for having these properties in the county inventory. Long term, we've got to consider how we do fund that going forward. Phase 3 opens some opportunities that are worth considering. There's a vision that there's a potential for a campground to be established there, which I think would be a very good thing. And as a revenue generating resource, that's a possibility, and I think could be a really good amenity. That has to wait though on Chevron completing the soil remediation for what leaks have occurred out there. It's not the worst. It's not the worst pollution situation that we have in our county, but it is still something they have to remediate. But we're already teeing up the state funding that would secure those parcels for public ownership. Details are at least a year to two or more in the future.
Helpful. So eventually there will be costs to the county, but at this point, good to know those were all purchased through state conservancy monies. Thanks for that.
Sure. Yeah. And again, costs, but also the potential for revenue. So,
Right. Except apparently camping isn't very much a revenue generator according to your
and
statement.
that's
Yeah.
something
Hopefully
we
that's an
gotta,
anomaly.
yeah, we gotta, yeah, I think that's a short-term
Thank you.
anomaly.
Okay, Molly, I see your hands up.
So you said there's going to be some remediation on that Toro Creek property. Is that
Mhm.
something that is being paid for by Chevron or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Their responsibility to do that. You may remember that up on the hill overlooking what they call the shore plant, which are the buildings you can see. But up the hill from that, there were tanks. Used to be a tank
Mhm.
farm up there. So there was some issues with the soil up there. There are some issues in the area of the shore plant down near the coast, and they've done some remediation to the creek, but the main body of that shore plant, but it is definitely their responsibility to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other
Yeah, I
questions?
got a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, see Mr.
John,
Lynn
yes.
there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, Bruce, what's the status of the buildings on that property? There used to be their, I guess, their office as well. What's the future for that?
Not yet to be determined. All part of the purchase and sale agreement that'll eventually be struck between the entities that'll cause that transaction. Also got to decide what entity owns the fee title to that property in the long term.
Okay,
And those are all TBD.
all right.
Any other questions for Supervisor Gibson? I actually have a comment and a question. There was a change at the community park. We did lose a trash can. It was the dedicated trash can for the dog waste. Um, Not a big deal because there is a trash can by the tennis courts that is a regular waste basket. It's not one that was set specifically for the dogs. So, um, you know, they did take one away. That didn't make much sense to me because they still have to come and get the regular trash, but
Yep.
we worked it out, right?
Yep.
They also did take away a trash can at the Eucalyptus Grove by Sunset Terrace, the where the butterflies are, Monarch Grove. They took away a trash can there, and my understanding is that a neighbor has put one out for that. So these little things, they feel personal. I
Sure.
know that's how a lot of people feel here in Los Osos. That feels very personal. And I know that I took part in the master planning for the county parks. They hired a consultant, a rather good one, I felt, having gone through the a process with them and create a master plan. But when there's no money to pick up trash, when those types of services are cut back, it's hard for me to understand spending money to create a master plan because master plans then don't get built. And then these plans get put on a shelf and a box is checked that says, well, we did that, but then nothing ever comes of it. So you don't have the solution for this, Bruce, I know, but I just want to bring out the feeling of, you know, work is done, but then nothing really comes of it. The
Yeah.
community plan for Los Osos, it's the same kind of thing. The community plan's been out there for 20 plus years, and a lot of the things that are in that plan have not seen the light of day. So
Mhm.
um, we've formed a subcommittee to address some of those things. And, how do we see progress on this?
Well, so I mean, your frustration with that is warranted and completely understood. It is the world that we live in. To your question of how we see progress, let me come to that here in a minute. I guess I understand that it seems personal. It seems nickel and dime, and it's immensely frustrating. It seems how hard could or should it be to do that. The reality in the parks is they've been trying to get one more or maybe just one more ranger position for like 5 years when Pandora Nash Carner was our parks commissioner for over 30 years. She was constantly in my ear about that. And um, it's an embarrassment, I think, that we haven't been able to staff them up to be able to provide the stuff. But it is in the end a choice of a majority of the board, and the fight there is, or the challenge, the contest is between other things that the board does. Some of you may be aware that our district attorney showed up when we introduced the budget 10 days ago, putting the board on formal notice that if he didn't get five more positions than the budget allocated, the proposed budget allocated him, he was going to find that we were unlawfully impeding his ability to do his job. Now, it's not clear to me what a majority of the board is going to do about that, but he's got his hand out for nearly 900,000 more dollars of general fund, which would be exactly the kind of dollars that would be allocated to the parks. And if you look at the budget history over the course of the last 10 years, you'll see that the growth in our discretionary income in the public protection categories of our budget has gone up and up and up and up and up, and all the rest of them have been flat against what we know are rising costs. So it is a competition among competing different priorities. It's unfortunate that the solution to this is one that the community of Los Osos has done a remarkable job demonstrating, and that is to take direct community action. The action to save Cuesta Inlet is an incredible result of people who went out and did the work to fill in the funds that the county is has not been providing. Similarly, with the group that's doing Measure B 26 on Sunnyside, it is like what has happened up here in Cayucas, where the community over the course of the last 10 plus years has raised over $1.5 million to kickstart the restoration of the Cayucas Pier and the Vets Hall. And so the unfortunate reality is the structure of our financing for local government in particular is highly constrained by Proposition 13, which limits the growth of property taxes. And as expenses rise and revenues don't rise as fast, we're just constantly having to do this. So I get it that it's not a happy result to see something even little like a trash can go away. But, unless we find some very different model of how we are going to move forward, and this is something I've been discussing slash arguing with my board colleagues for a while. We're not. I think we're going to be continue to be challenged with this. So again, Pasadena trash can or the Eucalyptus Grove trash can. A good-hearted neighbor steps up, and that's how that gets solved. And I wish I had a magic wand to make it different and painless, but I don't. I'm sorry.
So, how is there a way for us to get greater transparency on where our tax dollars go? Because being unincorporated means all of our money is thrown together with all other unincorporated areas. And
Mhm.
one thing that you do know, and we all know, is that property values in Los Osos have doubled and tripled since COVID. And that means that every time a house is sold, the county gets a lot more money than they were getting before. But we don't know where that money goes, and we definitely know it's not coming back to us. So,
Yeah.
is there a way to have some transparency about this?
Well, I mean, not. I guess it's. I don't know how to quite to answer that question. I'm
Kind of putting you
reminded.
on the spot. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. I live on the spot. That's not a problem at all. The problem is this, as you indicate, our tax dollars, for property tax, first of all, they go off to the state. The schools get 60%. The county gets about 23 and a half, 24% of the local property tax that's generated. That's the amount that once the state and the schools are done, that's what comes back to the county last I checked. We are actually a relatively fortunate county. There are counties that only get 12% of their locally generated tax revenue, and all that was set in the years immediately past Prop 13, and it's blocked in stone. It hasn't been changed. Um, that said, I'd have to consult the budget book, but it seems to me that property tax revenue year over year goes up about 3%, something like that, 3 or 4%. The overall general fund, the discretionary funds that we have, what we call general fund support, which is not the entirety of our $1 billion budget, that increased once you've covered all the things we have to do, that increased about 1.2% from last year to this proposed budget year. So yes, property property values have skyrocketed in the state since Prop 13 was put in, but those properties that don't turn over can only go up 2% per year when the market's going up. If the market's going down, they go down. So um, whereas you look around and you see that this is, you see that property appreciation and you think things should be very different than they are. That's simply not what the reality is once it lands in the coffers of the county. Um, as to the expense side of it, I know my predecessor commissioned, after being asked by the community a lot trying to figure out how much money, and I can't remember exactly which community it was. I don't remember. I won't claim that it's Los Osos, but it was one of the communities in the second district. Asked Supervisor Bianchi, and she finally, approached the auditor controller to find, well, what kind of money is spent by the county in whatever community it was. And to do that, you have to do a lot of complicated accounting. What fractions of the sheriff's department's time was spent in Los Osos? What fraction of the DA's time could you attribute to Los Osos? You do get the services of the tax assessor and the tax collector and all the services of that the county provides from general fund support, um, benefit all the communities in the county. Trying to pull that apart is there's no cookbook for doing it. You can't come to an exact answer. The net in her experience was, though, that whatever community it was, it turned out that they are quite easily, arguably, getting more services, more dollars back in services than they were contributing in tax dollars. And so it's again, it's not a process that we I don't think it's that beneficial to undertake. It's your county supervisor's job to advocate for the needs of the community. And that's what I do. And I take that very seriously. And we compete with all the other needs in the county. And if I get 3 votes in a budget hearing, I can move monies to various projects. But that's just the way it is at this point.
Well, we thank you for supporting the sewer project,
Sure.
although you were standing alone on that one. Greg, I did see your hand go up first, so I'll let you ask the next question.
And Chair, just I want to make sure I'm not on the board. Am I?
So that's all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, and thanks, Bruce. This is Greg Qualic,
Yeah,
General Manager,
good
Los
to
Osos
see you.
CSD, and
Congratulations.
thank you. Appreciate it. I just had a question, and I've been in the game for a little bit, and um, budgets sometimes get tight, and you have to cut back, and then the budgets are restored. You have a good year, TOT comes back, or whatever it is, and I'm just curious. Do you have a sense of whether Parks and Rec is looking at like the small stuff that Deborah was talking about, trash cans? Are they coming back when the budget bounces back in 2 or 3 years, or is this kind of a permanent structural cut that this is no longer a service that'll be provided? And I ask because we get these questions at the CSD.
Yeah.
So it'd be helpful to be able to answer.
So it's hard to know. Let me give you a loss in another community that's a big deal. You may know in Cayucas, Hardy Park has a pool. That pool's not going to open this summer for the first time in probably its existence because we started a maintenance project which had been long deferred, and we found that the lining of the pool was shedding fiberglass slivers that were, a threat to the public's health and safety. A little more investigation found that there was some serious undermining of the soil conditions. And so what was a budgeted project to rehab that pool suddenly got to be a much bigger project because of deferred maintenance. And that's the biggest problem in the parks system right now is that there's deferred maintenance. And as you probably know from your personal life, when you're finally able to confront a maintenance project that's been put off too long, you end up paying a whole lot more for it. So overall, I would say that the challenge is going to remain for a while. I will say that on our agenda for Tuesday, we're going to be signing a contract to get the consulting firm KPMG in to do a top to bottom review of our parks department and our IT department, separate issues, but same contract. And we've been doing that. We've done it for the planning department and the health agency, and we're going to be presented the results of doing it for our Department of Social Services. The sheriff is teed up again. So we'll be looking at the Parks Department to see if we can find some more efficiencies so that with what funds we do have, we can do a better job. that's the immediate effort, and that's the path that we'll do the best we can for that
Thank you.
particular part of our operation.
Okay, I see two more hands. I see Andrea and Molly. I don't know which one of you raised
Molly
your
was
hand first.
first.
Molly? Okay, go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. So when the county is, months ago, whenever they were working on budget cuts, or whenever, I'm not sure how long ago it was done, for this recent round, is that a public process?
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
is each department is coming up with a list of proposed
Yep.
items and then eventually
Yep.
gets whittled down to
Yep.
the final ones?
Yep, there's a budget book that's about that thick. It's also more conveniently online if
Yeah.
you go to the county website. It was introduced at our previous meeting on May 19th. It's out for a certain amount of time so the public can look into it, and then we hold hearings to approve it starting June 8th.
Okay. And so I just want to reiterate, in general, my concern about the thing with trash cans is that it's a basic public health situation where
Sure.
governments, provide trash cans and it keeps a place cleaner. It reduces, vermin, vectors, that kind of thing. And I just really always support basic public health
Understood.
things as a societal thing.
Sure.
So that's all I have for right now.
Thank you,
Um,
Molly.
Deborah, to your
And
point
go
about
ahead.
how we can be more effective, I think, being somebody that sat through hundreds of hours of budget hearings, it's usually oftentimes it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. And so that comes to a question, Bruce. I know SB 707 was a kind of an update to the Ralph M. Brown Act, and that made remote meetings or the ability to participate in meetings enhanced, and that's effective on July 1st. Is that affecting San Luis Obispo County? Because my question is, it's in San Luis. Los Osos people have to come all the way in. So if there was a remote participation, I think that speaks to our ability to participate more in your meetings and hopefully influence getting more money for things like Parks and Rec.
Well,
So I guess my question is participation in the meeting going to change based on SB 707?
the short answer is yes. It's unclear how much. This is a mandate put down by the state. It will cost the county extra money
Yep,
to run this. To my knowledge, we're not getting reimbursed for any of that. Yet we
probably not.
get hit on our general fund. Um, the challenge, and we just don't know how this is going to shake out, but the basics of that are that we have to provide equal opportunity for public comment through the remote channel as we do through the in-person channel. And to that end, that statute is very clear that we do have the ability to limit the total amount of public comment uh, in an effort to be able to get through the entirety of our agenda of a day. We have almost never instituted those limits. It has been the desire that we encourage anyone who wants to comment, and we've been very easy on whether those comments are actually relevant to the topic at hand. So it remains to be seen what the effect of the remote participation is, but the reality is that we put out an agenda because we've got work to do, and public comment is a part of it, but we can't, the remote option opens up the possibility that people from far, far away with less than constructive intent could seek to absorb an enormous amount of board time. So we're going to have to see how that works. I would only observe, perhaps you can couch this as my personal opinion, but I think it's probably true of most supervisors that showing up in person matters. And I think comments delivered in person are more impactful than comments phoned in. But we'll listen to it all in equal measure, and we'll continue to process and make the decisions we need to make.
And will that be effective on July 1st, do you believe?
That's my understanding.
Great, thank you.
All right. I don't see any other hands. Uh, thank you so much. It was a little bit of a grilling there, I think, but
No, no, Deborah, do not apologize for that. That's not a problem at all. I'm happy. That's why I'm here.
okay. Well, then we will move on to our next report, which is from the CSD. And I think I saw Chuck here.
Yes.
There you are. Okay.
Yes. So you've already touched on our really big news, and that is the welcoming of a new general manager. This is a big moment for the CSD because for the past 7 years, I think this is the longest tenure we've ever had for a general manager. And we're saying goodbye to Mr. Munns, which has me palpitating somewhat. But the good news is that we have found a more than capable replacement. And Ron, he's earned retirement. He raised his kids here. He's done so much for the community. Greg is here to raise his children. And that, I think, speaks to a potentially long-term relationship that I'm really hopeful for. And just to express our enthusiasm about his hiring, we scheduled 3 committee meetings the first week he was on board. So welcome. And I'm happy that the transition is going well. So with that, the fiscal year 26-27 budget was reviewed at our May 7th meeting. We'll be passing that hopefully on our June 4th meeting. The challenges that we're facing in the upcoming year, of course, our water supply remains the top priority. So we continue working on the intertie pipeline project to the point where the bridge construction that's going on, we'll be building that part of the pipeline across the bridge there just to accommodate the future so you don't have to come back later. We're also working on other groundwater, the basin-related projects. I'll touch on one of those later on. We continue work on revenue analysis for funding fire protection and emergency services. We need to rebuild the fire station. We'd like to upgrade to 4 full-time staffers instead of 3 with a reserve staff for fire service. And so you'll hear more about that over the next year. I think the funding for the station remodel is there. It's the rest that we need to talk about. So the future of Sunnyside School will be decided next week on June 2nd. If it's successful, the district will be reorganizing, of course, to take on these new responsibilities. And our committees would all be involved, and it's a time of transition potentially for the district. A lot for Greg to dig into. So the special board meeting that we held today was just kind of a little get to know our water department and celebrate a big project that we've been wanting to complete for years. It is technically the name is the Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition System. We call it the SCADA system, which links all of your wells, all of your pumps, everything together into a central network, which can be reviewed right from the office down at 8th Street or remotely from your laptop at home. So the emergencies that pop up in the middle of the night, we're right there to deal with those from home. We have the potential to analyze and look at the histories of each well, the pump actions, the run times, all of that with the goal of maximizing the efficiency of the water production system so that hopefully we can in 5 years meet that estimated sustainable yield of 2,000 acre feet a year. And this is part of the work that we need to do to get to that point. Spend some money on these projects, and hopefully in 5 years we're going to have that 2,000 acre feet. So that was kind of fun today. And if I mean you wouldn't know it, but down there at 8th Street, two wells, many large tanks for blending and settling. There's a retention basin, a huge garage that we finally built for the equipment. The last thing that's needed is a remodel of the building that the staff actually occupies. And at some point, I believe that will be a fire department training exercise, and we will rebuild. Um,
Hmm.
and so that was today's special meeting, and I'm welcome for any questions.
All right. So do we have any questions for Chuck from the CSD? David.
Yeah, just when I mentioned about the new IT system to control all the water, my
Yes.
first thing went in my head was, gee, I hope that's not hackable.
Oh, that was a
It's a
question that we went over and over and over today. And so it starts with the basic fundamentals. The computers that control this system are for controlling this system. They're not for internet searches, for email, for anything like that. You have to get into the water department system, which allows you to answer those emails and do those kind of things. And then there is another firewall that takes you to that system. And you've got to have your passcodes and all that kind of protection there. You can't just get into the CSD's water department system. We did talk a lot about that today.
Okay. Okay. Glad it's something you're thinking about.
Absolutely. And you can't trust anybody
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
Let's see. Molly has her hand raised. Go ahead, Molly.
Yeah, so Chuck, when you were talking about the fire department and the CSD remodeling your office building, you're not talking about doing a controlled burn thing there, are you?
I was teasing.
Oh,
I was
okay.
teasing, like we did for the fire station or the old gas station down on Second and Elmore years ago. No, no, it would be safer. You've got neighbors all around and all of our
Yeah,
equipment that
yeah.
just bring in bulldozers.
So the idea though is tear that building down and build
I
something.
don't know how you could salvage much there. I don't know. We've hired someone, the same people that did the um, look at the fire station and gave us plans for that remodel. They are starting their examination of what's down there at the water yard. We've been putting this off for years because there's always a pump, a storage tank, something, or new truck, and our guys are well taken care of, other than that building.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so we had a request from one of our council members to have Greg introduce himself and tell us a little bit about himself. So if you're willing to unmute yourself, Greg, and introduce yourself, we'd love to hear it.
Sure. Thanks, Deborah. And I'll try to make it quick. Greg Kwalik. I've lived in Los Osos for 5 years. I have a 1.5-year-old daughter and a 3.5-year-old son. And I was with the city of Morro Bay for 5 years as the public works director. Prior to that, I was in Pasadena, not Pasadena Park, but the city of Pasadena. And I was in the housing department there as a manager. And I've worked in some other roles, including in LA County, where I was doing business. I was running the small business counseling shop for LA County. Prior to all that, I lived in Pennsylvania and have a background in workforce development and adult literacy. So I've always been very community oriented, service oriented. I've done a lot of volunteering in my life, and hope to continue that here once I get settled into the new role. I'm really excited about being part of the CSD because it really is the community I live in. So I see it just as public service. And so far, the board has been outstanding. We have outstanding staff in the CSD. It's a very stable and calm organization, and I really appreciate that because there is a lot of work to be done, but we're really given the space to do that by the community and board. So I am very thankful. Originally, I'm from the East Coast, from New Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy. Lived in New York for college and in Pennsylvania for about 8 years before going to LA. Have a master's degree in public administration from USC. So I'm not a Cal Poly kid, but yeah, and I've been in
Okay.
California for about 14 years. So anyway, that's my life story.
Yeah, excellent. Well, just know that we are here to support you and the work that you do.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. We have the Chamber of Commerce report, Jim Stanfield. What have you got for us,
I
Jim?
have about three things to kind of talk to you about. Number one, we're beginning our planning for our big event Oktoberfest. I don't know what year it is, 44. We've been doing this for a long time, but
No.
issue for us this year will be a location of our beer garden because it's been in that corner of Second Street in Santa Maria all this time, and putting a building there. Not sure what the timing of that is. There's still some hearing going on, so I don't know what's going to happen there. So that's a big thing for us. But we're moving ahead, planning on major our events, stage or auto store, um, vendors, our costume contest. We're looking for sponsors for all of that. So that's a big thing and trying to get that underway. But we've got time. Why we started a little early. Second thing is our chamber office has hours we've talked about 10 to 2 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We've got an increase in the number of volunteers willing to man the chamber office. And so we're making some discussion about possible Saturday opening, maybe 10 to 2, 10 to noon rather. And so we'll see where that comes about. The thing is the big event coming up that most of you participate in, probably enjoy, is that festival. The pass book, and you go to about 25 different restaurants in the community. Get some kind of discount in your dinner or event or something. So that's coming up, and they'll be starting in July 1. The books will be available at the end of June, so you can start right out on the 1st. Three things from the chamber.
And it's called what? Passport? It's called a
Oh,
passport?
the passport. It's Festival of Flavor, and it's like a passport in that it has all of the various venues who are passing out, discounts or rewards, so you can go from each one to the next. So it's
Wow.
we've been doing it for about 4 years, and each year it gets a little more popular. People really enjoy it, and the vendors love it because they don't have to. We started this event 5, 6 years ago when we did it at the community center, when they had vendors around the outside and people ate in the middle. But COVID shut that down, and then we had to come up with another plan. And the vendors love this because they don't have to pack all their stuff into the community center and try to keep it hot. And so anyway, that's worked out better. And the other thing, sell it to the vendors from the standpoint. Sometimes people hear about your shop, but they've never been there. And once they come in for this reward, they find out about you, and then they come back. And people have indicated that's the way it worked. So they're pretty happy about it. Those the community for like 2 years, and we're now getting them on board with this year, and they're excited to be part of it. So they will be doing
Okay.
it. That's the game.
Very good. All right. Good report. Thank you very much, Mr.
You bet.
Stanfield. So, moving on, public comments for items not on the agenda. Do we have anybody here who wishes to make a public comment? I'm not seeing any hands up. So, we will move on to, actually, we have nothing on the agenda, nothing on the consent agenda, nothing on the regular agenda, because we didn't have any land use items. So we'll go on to committee reports, starting with the treasurer's report. And so that means back to you, Jim.
Beginning balance on April 1st was $2,342.80. We had for income this month 1% or 12-cent interest payment, and an accounting grant for $2,000 for our election, our the outreach activities. So expenses, we had our Zoom expense that we have every month for $10. The Chamber of Commerce membership for $100 for a year. We had our post office box, $276 for a year. And we had a charge to our account of $436. Checked with my friend Gary Katayama and found out that this was an error and it has already been corrected in the May account. So that'll be next month. Balance $3,521.01. Meaning
Okay.
that our ending balance for the end of May, I'm estimating it's going to be around $2,947 and a penny.
Okay.
Something to serve.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that report. Let's move on to the committee reports. Molly, Jim's not here, but you don't have anything, right?
Yeah, we don't have anything. We did not hold a meeting because there were no items for us to review last time.
Okay. So Andrea.
Tree and Landscape had a meeting last month, went well, or this month, actually last week. We are going to be contacting the county again for the approved project that we have to plant between the sidewalk and the street in the little area near the skate park across from Sunnyside. And we're going to reach out again to the county because we're hoping the county will allow recycled water to be used on that area. The recycled water apparently isn't piped underneath the sidewalk or the DG path there, so hopefully we'll get some support on that. Mr. Gibson, I'm sure you're listening to this. And other than that, Tree and Landscape is moving right along. John, did I miss anything?
You
I always
did
like to
good.
give it to you. All right, great. Thanks, Deborah.
Right. Excellent. All right. Active transportation, that's my committee. I'm going to share my screen and have you guys take a look at the bike rodeo that we had at Sunnyside. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Probably not. But we had a huge turnout for our bike rodeo. It was combined middle school, Baywood Elementary, Monarch Grove Elementary. That you could see the bike rodeo, the obstacles set up, kids learning the different signs. And then at the end, in the sort of in the middle of the day, they did a group ride, which you're going to see. This is ride share was there, public health was there, fitting helmets, doing bike repair, highway patrol was there. Oh my goodness gracious, these kids had a blast. And then they did a group ride from Sunnyside all the way down to Sea Pines and back. And these are the people who were responsible. Julia Wallers, who is just now coming in, and Jessica Crutchfield, two moms with kids who want to be good cyclists. And I'm just going to run it again so you can talk about it, Julia, now that you're here.
Hi, everyone. Good timing. Yeah, I'm Julia Wellers and I helped organize this bike rodeo. And as you can see, it was a well-attended festive day of a lot of little ones. They even said it was more like little roller scooter types than usual. And that's probably because I have a 4-year-old and just because kids are younger. But just learning to navigate, street signals, stop, start, turns. This was all on the blacktop of Sunnyside. As you can see, there was free bike repair. There was helmet giveaways, helmet fittings, instructional guides on site to sort of help. That's Julia Valentine from Bike Slow County. CHP was there. And we had bubbles and bike decorating. It was really a time to just build bike culture and celebrate coming together in our public spaces where children can feel like the streets belong to them and that they are a place where they can move about their community safely. And there's always safety in numbers. So this group ride around the neighborhood was sort of a high point, although the uphill part was a little bit of a downer for some. I thought about just turning back. We went just straight down Manzanita and up Woodland, but we went all the way down to Sea Pines, and we lost a few that way. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and a lot of people have said, that their kid can't stop talking about biking ever since. A couple of kids dropped their training wheels right there on the site, just being in a place where there was such opportunity to be bold, to try to get in the crowd of biking. And we hope to do it again and form some really great partnerships with Bike Slow County, with Rideshare, with CHP, with Public Health. And people have been asking, when is the next one? So I'm not sure what else Deborah told you about it, but
No, I just started talking. So why don't you share a little bit about critical mass, which is sort of in the planning stages right now?
yeah, well, Critical Mass is a national initiative of family-based instructional bike rides that sort of start with some safety tips, guided instruction. There's leaders for front and back to sort of block intersections, and just a way to bring communities together. I'd say families, but it's not like you have to have kids, but it is based through the lens of a child using the street on a bike and doing these guided rides, Critical Mass. And Bike Slow County runs them. I think it's the third Thursday of the month. Going to the Slow Farmers Market. They meet somewhere and ride a mile together. And we're talking with Bike Slow County about bringing one to Los Osos and doing a little Baywood route that sort of, culminates with ice cream at High Street, or, meet at the Blue Pier. And ultimately it's community building, right? And biking is a part of that. But you lead with biking as the tool to bring people together and enhance opportunities for sustainable, active transportation for our youngest, most vulnerable residents.
Yeah. Yay.
Fantastic.
So it was a
Thank
lot
you,
of fun.
Julia. I was in
Yeah.
Boston. Could not be there for this event. I was, really sad that I couldn't be there in person, but thank you for making the video and taking the pictures because it tells the whole story. And I think the next one will be even bigger because people had such a great time.
Yeah, I agree. I know somehow we pulled it off without Deborah there. I don't know how that happened, but
No, no, that's not true. So,
I'm kidding.
um, so that's exciting what's happening. We want to have a community. Los Osos is ideal for cycling and biking because we have great uh, temperature. We have such a temperate climate. Um, but we don't always have good bike lanes. We don't always have good bike paths. So the work of the transportation committee is to always look and see where can we do better in terms of creating safe routes to school, safe transit from Los Osos to Baywood Park without having to get in your car and get there.
Mhm.
So, one of the things that Julie and we were working on was a pop-up demonstration for a crosswalk at Rodman and Pacho. It's a very dangerous intersection there, and we wanted to demonstrate the need for a crosswalk. It was funded through an Office of Traffic Safety grant that was flowing through our regional partner, SLOCOG. And we ran into some difficulties with that project because the county, the more they looked at this project, the more they saw that it was complicated by the fact that cars are moving very quickly on that Pacho Road at that location. Coming out of MDO, speeds are posted at 40, 45 miles an hour, and then you're coming into the residential area, but the cars aren't slowing down. So try crossing the street when there's no crosswalk and the cars are speeding, and it's not just pedestrians, but also equestrians. So we have horses crossing at that location as well due to the entrance into MDO there. So we tried to do this pop-up. We weren't able to pull it off because the county had a lot of concerns about the liability of it, and they kept putting more and more and more requirements onto what we needed to do in order to make it safe, which kind of made Julie and I scratch our heads and go, well, if it's so not safe, well, why don't we do something about it? And I have to tell you, somehow almost, well, I don't want to say it was a miracle, but strangely enough, just 3 or 4 days ago, they put in a traffic sign, an electronic traffic sign that shows you, flashes your speed as you are approaching this intersection. Now, we had no idea they were going to do that, but they've been working on something down there on that corner, and sure enough, here comes this traffic sign that says, first of all, post 35 miles an hour and a big sign, and then it has a big sign that says your speed, and then it flashes whatever you're traveling at, right? Hallelujah, because that is going to slow people down. Just to look at it, it's going to slow people down. And that's going to make it better for people trying to cross the street at this location because cars are going to just like sort of tone it down a little bit, which Julie and I have talked about. She's an expert in traffic. I'm not. But traffic calming is really the answer to these problems where the traffic doesn't feel like they can speed because either the road is too narrow or there's some other thing that's constraining them. And obviously, this sign that's really in your face and is telling you how fast you're going is going to slow people down. And so, whoever we have to thank for that, I want to say thank you, Bruce. Whoever that is, I don't know.
I'm
We got
I'm hap
some.
I'm happy to take the credit lacking any other county employee here tonight.
We got
So
something out of
let me just
Um,
let me just speak to I've interacted a bit with Public Works on trying to get that pop-up crosswalk, but I think what they found is that the real problem was that needed to be solved first was the speed. And is it a permanent installation or is it the traffic trailer?
Oh no, it's permanent.
Yeah.
Right,
So
It's
in
the real
that's
deal.
person.
that's one of those things.
Concrete, hole in the
Yeah, good.
ground. Yeah.
That is their first line. It is a traffic calming. It seems like a small thing, but it has its effect. We got to let drivers get used to it. We'll reassess the baseline, and to the extent there's still difficulties, with concerns about safety, I just give you what I have heard from Public Works, and I believe it to be true, that simply painting a crosswalk in a particular place can give a pedestrian a false sense of security. And
yeah.
the data, if we get to the hard data, we find that actually may decrease the safety. So they went right after the piece that they needed to go after. Now, is the project to make it a sane place for people to cross a busy road? No, it's not done yet, but we'll keep on it.
Yeah, well, we're grateful. We're so grateful. I mean, really already has made a huge difference at this intersection. I
Sure.
live up here, so I know
Yeah.
I have to go through that intersection all the time.
Good.
David, I saw your hand was up.
Yeah, I think Julia's hand is up first, but
Okay, Julia,
Okay,
go
thank you.
ahead.
My hand kind of blends. Yeah, I just wanted to build off what both Deborah and Bruce said about the speed being the ultimate safety issue. And we feel like even though this pilot didn't move forward as planned, to be honest, it was a bit rushed because we were trying to align with Bike and Walk to School Day on May 6th. And it was kind of like, okay, let's just do this. It's a pop-up. We'll throw it together. And we knew traffic calming needed to be a part of it, but we weren't prepared for the cobweb of permitting requirements that were going to happen. And quite frankly, I don't know if the county was either. There was a lot of unexpected hurdles. So I think it ends up being a blessing that we're postponing or revising this because it allows us to take more of a comprehensive approach to this as a corridor issue, not just a spot where like we need to cross, let's cross. Well, yes, there needs to be a way to cross. Yes, people are crossing, but the reason it's not safe isn't necessarily because there's not a crosswalk there. It's because the cars are going too fast and people aren't paying attention because that's what the road tells you to do. So this is an opportunity to zoom out and look at it holistically from one end to the other. And even if there's not a crosswalk there ever, it would by default be more safe because people in their cars are just going more slowly and looking and aware that this is a place where I might see a horse, I might see a person, I might see a kid. And that by default accomplishes a lot of the goals. And then you get the crosswalk and it's easier to do when that does happen.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We're just so thrilled. Now, David, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to comment. I guess California doesn't use speed cameras much, do they? In Maryland, when you really wanted to slow things down, you'd put a speed camera and people would get tickets, and we all hated it because we'd always get tickets. But they really worked. You get a ticket a couple times with the speed camera, and you slow down, and they raise a lot of revenue for the communities as well. But I don't think they're in use here, are they?
My recollection is there's some fairly significant limits on their applicability. So,
Is that
Oh,
a state law?
I think, yes, is my understanding. And, the setting of speed limits is controlled by state law, not necessarily in a rational way. We
Yeah.
can't set a speed limit too low such that, we've got to accommodate 85% of the natural speed. It doesn't always make sense. But know that I'm certainly committed, my office certainly committed to keep working with you to make relentless incremental progress. That's the goal here.
well, it's honestly, it's a huge
Good.
step forward to have this sign. And so we're very happy to see it there. Do we have any other questions for me? My active transportation. Oh, one more thing. We are working, I've been in talks with Supervisor Gibson about creating additional parking spots in Baywood, looking for ways to create more angle parking so we have more parking spots. Ideally, I would like to see additional parking spots, but also bike lanes. Right now on Second Street in the commercial area, there are no bike lanes. The road is wide enough to accommodate bike lanes. It would be obviously a matter of, adjusting the parking to allow for that. So it's something that we're talking about, and hopefully we can get that accomplished because anybody who lives here knows if you go down to Baywood on a weekend or on a Monday, it's crazy down there in a good way.
I'd say it's a good crazy.
Mhm. Okay,
Sometimes
I'm
it's a
done
fine
with my
line.
report. Let's move on to our business item for the evening, which is the installation of our advisory council members. So for District 1, we have Andrea Luker and David Cheney. That's not a change. District 2, Jim Salio. We have a vacant position in District 2. We have a new council member, Alex. Alex, you need to pronounce your last name for everybody.
Hi everyone. My first name is actually Alejandro to add a little bit more flavor to it, but Alex is usually what I go by, and the last name is Wolnowitz. So you can just say "Hey you." I'll respond. Don't
We don't
worry.
want to say, hey, you. But if I have to introduce you, I do want to introduce you, with the correct pronunciation. So
Alex?
Alejandro, I'm happy to say
No, no,
that.
no. You can stick to Alex. Alex Wolnowitz. Thank you, Deborah.
Wolnowitz, just like it's spelled. Well, Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're representing District 3.
Yes, honored to. So Los Osos has been home for about a year and a half. We found this place completely out of luck. We were living in LA. We lived in LA for a little over a decade. My family and I, my wife, Anouk, we have two daughters, aged 5 and 2, both girls. Obviously, I said daughters. We went up to Yosemite in a camper van and we came back down the coast. And we weren't really planning the trip down, but we spent the night at Morro Bay, the Strand campground right there on the beach. And I was blown away. I was like, what is this place? Like, how is this not the most famous icon in California coast? I can't believe I'd never heard of this place. And we spent the weekend in Morro Bay, and everyone was so kind. I literally, the first day we got here, I told my wife, we're moving here. And she laughed. We spent the weekend here. Everyone that we met was like, you should check out Los Osos. There's a cool little family-friendly vibe going on over there. And we left having never been to Los Osos, but fully believing we were moving to Los Osos. And then we came back 2 months later. We viewed one house and only one house, and that is the current house I'm in right now. So it's been unbelievable. We just went to LA probably like, I don't know, 8, 9 months ago. So not just. And when we went back, I don't know how I lived there for a decade. Like I don't know how my nervous system dealt with that. Like the pace of life, Deborah and I have gone to coffee multiple times. Everyone has time to say hello. Um, this is truly a magical place, and it's going to take a lot to get me out of here. It's home. It's where I want to raise my kids, and I'm super honored to be here, and I look forward to getting to know all of you.
Well, we're so happy to have you
Well,
here, Alex.
Welcome.
thank you.
We have still a vacancy in District 3. So that's available if you know anybody who lives in District 2 or District 3. If you don't know where those are, go to the LOCAC website. There's a map. It will show you. Um, and put their name forward, and we will bring them on if possible. District 4, I'm in District 4, and Molly Brown represents District 4. And because that equals 8, and we want 9 people on our council, we do have what's called an at-large council member. We have one person who has put their name in for the at-large council member. That's John Lind. John has already submitted an application and a bio about himself. So we are letting people know that if you are interested in being the at-large person, you must submit an application. You'll find it on our website and send in a little bio about yourself. In the June meeting, we will take a vote, and the council will bring on the at-large council member. So, John, your application is in, and we're just making sure that if there are any other applications, we're ready to take them, and we will be addressing that at the June meeting. Any questions about that? Andrea?
I don't
Go
have a
ahead.
question, Deborah, but would we be able to put a little blurb on the front of our LOCAC webpage about that at-large position and just a deadline to apply?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should do
Gary's
that.
still smiling, so maybe he'll do it for us.
Yeah, Gary. Gary
Send me what you want.
Katayama has been doing our website stuff, and he's going off the council now. So I think Alex has indicated he might be the kind of person who can do that work. We'll see if he's willing to do it because you
It's
don't want me touching it.
it's not the willingness. We'll see about the results, but I will certainly give it a go.
Well, Gary's a good teacher. I know he taught me a lot. So we'll get something on the website about that and make sure that people understand that the ninth position is still open until our next meeting. Julia, you have a
Yeah,
question?
just a quick question about that as far as when there's vacancies or elections coming up within LOCAC. I don't know if this happens typically, but is there effort maybe to spread the word in like the community next door or social media in the Estero Bay News, things like that, just to make sure that we're reaching the full breadth of the community or, postings in the church, different parts of the neighborhood for opportunity. I mean, I happen to know about it because I'm lucky enough to know Deborah, but as a new person, I somehow missed that there was election, in April, and how can I help to sort of get this word out so more people know how to participate in this local government
Right.
structure advisory
Well,
body?
this is what I know. You are really good at social media
Mhm.
because you were fantastic on the bike rodeo and all of the stuff that was going on around that. So if you would be interested in helping get that word out, I know we have some social media sites. I think we have something on Facebook. That's not my thing. So we'll work on that. I think it's a good idea. We do want to have a full council because there are times when not everybody can be here. Like tonight, Jim's not here. And so if we don't have a full council, we get to be a
The
really
quorum.
small group.
Mhm.
So we do want to get the District 2, District 3, and the at-large positions filled as soon as possible. And we don't have to wait for an election to do that.
Uh-huh.
We can bring new people
Yeah.
on.
Do our local newspapers, even the Star Bay News, have like a space for that, public announcements or committee openings, things like
I
that,
think they do sometimes, not every month, but we can look
Mhm.
into that
Just to
too.
submit to that?
Yeah. All right. Good question. Good question. Anything else? Hmm, Don't see anything else. All right. So now we have the nomination and appointment of officers. Andrea, should we wait to do this in June
Yeah.
because we're waiting for that ninth person?
Sorry, Deborah, I didn't catch that on the agenda. Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense.
Okay, so you're all, put on notice. We will be electing the chair, the vice chair, the treasurer. We don't really have a secretary. If somebody wanted to be the secretary, I'd let you be the secretary, but we record our meetings. We don't do minutes. If you're interested in knowing what's going on, you just go to the recording. So that will happen in June, along with the nomination of the ninth council member. Any questions about that? Any volunteers for any of those positions? You want to throw your name in the ring while we're talking about it?
Well, Deborah, you'd asked me if I would be willing to be treasurer, and I said yes. So
I did ask you because you did say you would do it. So
yeah.
So we'll nominate you next June.
Yeah.
I'm putting your name down, David.
Yeah. Excellent.
And Jim
Well,
Salio.
I also said that if anybody else really wanted to do it, I would happily defer to them. But
We didn't hear that part. We only heard you're willing to do it.
I did ask Jim Salio if he would still be vice chair, and he said that he would. So, but that doesn't mean somebody else can't step into that role, or the chair for that matter. Okay, let's take a look at the budget. You all should have gotten a copy of it. It's a pretty simple budget going forward. We have a Zoom room payment of $120. We have a PO box that's $276. We pay for the domain name, $30. We pay for our LOCAC email, $96. We have a membership at the chamber for $100, and then we have in the budget $1,000 for outreach, for things like what Julia mentioned, for doing things in Estero Bay News, or any other kind of activities we want to do for the year. That total is $1,622. We have plenty of money. I think Jim Stanfield said we had over $2,000, so we're good. We don't need to ask for any additional funding.
Treasurer's done a good job keeping the money in.
Yeah. So, any questions about the budget? Anything that you think is missing in the budget that we should add? David?
Where does the website show up on the budget? Is that part of the email, or is it part of the domain name? I would assume that there's some sort of fee for maintaining the website.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on that. It says email, but that's actually the website charge. The email's free.
Okay. All right. So the $96 is the website,
Right.
not an email.
Hosting. Yeah. Email's free.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll fix that. Okay. So LOCAC website is $96. So it is on here.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do we own the URL?
We own the domain name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you're looking for a motion, I'm happy to motion.
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
I'm happy to motion approval of the budget.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Andrea, and then Molly, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. That will pass, and we'll adjourn. Thank you so much,
Thank you, General.
everybody.
Good meeting, everyone.
Good meeting.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Nice to see
Bye.
you all.
I know.
Good evening.